Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Capital Conflab. From rugby and football to korfball and kabaddi, we are here to take you through the very best of sport the wonderful city of Cardiff has to offer. So sit back, turn up the volume, and let us take you through the next half an hour here on Capital Conflab. Well, welcome to this episode of Capital Conflab. We had a week off last week, unfortunately, due to illness. So you're all feeling better now, mate?
I'm all feeling good now, mate. I do apologise, but I'm all good now. I'm all good, ready to go.
Obviously, at this present time as well, illness is a worrying thing, but wasn't too serious, and we're all back fine, and we're back this week, and we're back with a bang. This, I think it's fair to say, the guests today in terms of how good each of our guests have been within their individual sport, and that's absolutely no disrespect to any of the people we've had on, who've all been better athletes than me and you combined. This guest today is properly top of the game.
Yeah, top of the charts in this country as well.
Yeah, 10th in the world as well. We're delighted to say that with us today we have Tesni Evans. Tesni, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me on.
Not a problem at all. Squash is, I think it's not the most mainstream sport, I think would be fair to say. Obviously, it does have a big following. What was it that got you into that sport particularly at first?
Yeah, you're right. Obviously, it's not, you tell a lot of, even like my friends that have known me for years, they still don't get it. So it's still trying to tell people what it is sometimes. But yeah, my dad used to play I guess you'd call it professional. Didn't travel around the world, but he played, and also my mum played like socially as well. So me and my brothers and sister, we were kind of brought up on it really, and member of a squash club from a really young age, and just used to get taken there all the time as kids because my dad was coaching most of the time. So that's where we sat all the time. So it didn't take too long before I was like, I'm a bit bored of sat off here now. Come on, I'll have a go. So kind of that's how I really got into it.
What sort of age were you when you first gave it a go?
I don't really know. I would say quite young. I'd always say, if people ask me, like, I would say 4 or 5 I started playing at, really. Very, very young. I probably went on a little before and just sort of, scraped the ball on the floor or something. But yeah, I would say pretty young, probably like 4 or 5.
So this podcast, it's a merger of sport and Cardiff. Were you born in Cardiff, was it?
Yeah, born in Cardiff, but moved up to North Wales, yeah.
How old were you when you moved up to North Wales?
10.
10?
So, yeah, born and bred in Cardiff, lived there till I was 10, and then moved up here now, so...
Do you still have any relatives in this area, or is everyone...
Yeah, all my relatives. We have no family up here, just me, my brother and my sister, and mum and dad are here. And yeah, still have a decently sized family down in Cardiff. So I still spend quite a lot of time there during for training and stuff. So yeah, still feel like I'm half home when I'm there.
What part of Cardiff was it where you started training originally then? Was it, I'm assuming, one of the leisure centres in the area?
No, St Mellons.
Oh, St Mellons?
Yeah. So I used to live in St Mellons. So the country club there, it was pretty big when I was a kid. It was kind of like the hub at the time. It had like 5 squash courts, and it was just buzzing with players and stuff. And it was kind of where our national centre was really. And now obviously it's moved into the Sport World Centre and stuff like that now. So
I imagine there must have been a point growing up where you thought, this, I want to take this from a hobby to being professional.
Yeah.
How old were you at that sort of age? When did you decide, I'm going to focus on this is my career?
It was quite late. I think I always had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to be a professional, but didn't really know what that entailed or what it meant. It was kind of just, you say it when people say, what do you want to do when you're older, and it was just something I said, really. But I think I was about 16, 17 when I thought I really would like to do this properly, and decided to make the jump and do it then, which at the time you never know whether it's a good idea or not, really. It's like, is this the right thing to do? And I dropped out of school to do it as well, so it doesn't always go well, so it was kind of a bit nervous for a while, but...
It's a big decision, that is, dropping out of school.
Especially coming home and telling your parents that as well. It's like, oh, this isn't going to go well. You're like, oh, I don't know about this. But they were really supportive, and I was doing my AS levels and finding them really difficult. Not the most, what's the word? Not the most...
Academic.
Academic, that's the word. Yeah, not the most academic person. Way more, school's more of a social thing for me. So it was kind of hard to like play squash a lot as I was then, and also trying to do my schoolwork at the same time. So something kind of had to give either way, really.
Of course, now it transpires it was a great decision. And
it's funny. Like you look back now and you think, I'm so glad I did it, but it could easily have gone the other way as well. So, but now I'm definitely happy that I made the decision. That's for sure.
If it's okay with you, we're going to look through a few of your sort of career highlights and sort of trip down some of the best moments. I mean, you've had the Commonwealth, the Welsh Nationals, the British Nationals. Do any of them stick out for you as the highlight?
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah, I mean, the Commonwealth Games is probably a big highlight. I think, and just in terms of the size of the games, obviously it's just massive, and you see all the other athletes there, and it's just more. It's more than squash. And for us as squash players, we're not an Olympic sport, so that is our biggest event that we participate in. And when I went to Glasgow the 4 years before, it was just the most amazing experience I've ever gone through, really. And it was always a dream to win a medal, no matter the colour. Just to be out there, and it was so unexpected as well. So that probably like started the ball kind of rolling in terms of my career, really. And I think that probably sticks out as the highlight for that reason, really.
Are there plans to get squash? Please excuse my knowledge on this, but you've mentioned it's not an Olympic sport. Are there plans to get it in the Olympics? Is that I imagine that the governing bodies are really going to be pushing for that.
Yeah, we've been trying for years. We narrowly missed out on 2020, which now obviously is going to be next year, but we narrowly really missed out on that, and that was our big push for years, was trying to get into that one, but it didn't work out. And to be honest, we've been trying for ages. I don't understand why we're not in it. I think we fit it absolutely perfectly in so many different ways.
Yeah, because lots of similar sports are in it, aren't they? You know, the likes of badminton and tennis are all included. It seems strange that squash isn't.
Yeah, it's really odd, and I don't know what it is and what we can do. You know, we proposed put loads of money into it, proposed quite a big sort of program for it, and it just didn't come through. So I don't know where we go from here, whether we keep trying or don't try. Obviously, it's what we want. We definitely want to be an Olympic sport, because from that comes so much more opportunity for the sport. But it seems proving quite difficult for us, which is very frustrating. Yeah,
I can imagine. That doesn't sound fair, if anything. I mean, I don't work for the IOC, but that does sound strange to me. It's clear from sort of social media channels that you love, you know, playing an individual sport, which squash can be, but also representing Wales, like you said, at the Commonwealth Games. You hear football players, you know, I think Gareth Bale said it recently, that he feels different when he puts on the red jersey for Wales. Does it feel different for you when you represent your country instead of sort of just playing individually?
Yeah, absolutely it does. I would 100% agree with that comment, because, I mean, we play all year round, travelling the world by ourselves. We're not, obviously, like tennis, we don't carry a big team with us, unfortunately. You know, every now and then we might have a coach there from the governing body, but we don't have the money to be travelling with a team. So for me, it does definitely feel different, and it's something that's so special, and it has been from day one, really, and it's still, to this day, is very important to me. And the highlight of the year is the time when we get to play for Wales. So, as we said before, the Commonwealth Games then is just like another level on top of that. And some of my best memories are playing with the team. And even when we're at the Commonwealth Games and we're playing individually, we're still playing as a team there. So, definitely it's so important to me, and I absolutely love it.
One of the other places which I saw you play was the World Champs this year, which was in Egypt. Was it in Cairo?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, last year it was. the setting for that looks absolutely incredible.
Amazing.
I've never seen anything like that. It was the backdrop with the pyramids, sort of your glass box. It reminded me of the Cube, that old the ITV game show.
I know what you mean.
So this big sort of glass cube right in the middle with the most incredible view. That must have been amazing.
Honestly, it's the most unreal thing to play on that court. I've played there once, but didn't make it to the glass court to play on that court. So they use a back venue as well, just because obviously there's too many matches to fit on there. So that's kind of the show court. And it was like everyone, we were all like, right, we've got to make the glass court. We've got to make the glass court because it's just an unbelievable setting. It honestly, like, it's kind of like you just stand there and you think this isn't real. It's to so many people, they see pictures and they're like, this is amazing, and it's like it looks even cooler in person as well. So that's the great thing about squash. We can go and play anywhere, really.
Egypt,
I keep getting distracted.
What?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I kept getting distracted and was playing.
It's definitely very easy to do.
It's big in Egypt, isn't it? I'm not sure if this is the sort of common knowledge about squash, but loads of the top 10, 20 ranked players in the world are from Egypt, aren't they? Is it the national sport there?
It's not. I think football actually is a national sport.
Oh, really?
Which still baffles me because they are unbelievable at squash. I mean, it's the craziest country in so many ways. It's very like full on, but their squash is unbelievable. They've got like, I mean, off the top of my head, I think the top 10 the women, they've got about 5.
Yeah.
And the men is probably the same. I'm not 100% sure of this exact moment, but it's pretty close to that. It's unbelievable. And every time I go, I'm still baffled at the amount of children and people they've got playing at one time. Like, the age they start is a joke, and the amount of hours they put in at a young age is, honestly, it's crazy. And it shows now the level that they're playing at is like beyond anything else, really.
Obviously, for a lot of reasons, you know, with what's going on in the world, this season was cut short, not just for squash, but for lots and lots of other sports. Your season got cut even shorter, didn't it? With an ankle injury in New York. How are you with that now? Is it everything recovered?
Yeah, it's back to normal now. Everything's fine. It's hard to tell exactly how it feels right now, only because I'm not on court. And I'm doing all the stuff that I normally do in training, but obviously minus that change direction when I don't know where the ball is going, which is really hard to replicate unless you're on the court. So, but in terms of everything else, it feels really good. Just the most annoying timing. But I mean, it's never a good time to get injured anyway. So,
have you been quite lucky in your career in terms of injuries?
Yeah, pretty lucky. I had the same ankle I did 7 years ago. Exactly the same thing. So managed to like last 7 years on it, which was quite good. So there's a positive in that. And yeah, I've been touch wood, nothing too bad, and nothing that keeps me out for too long, which is very good.
Are there any plans for the return of squash? Obviously, football's back tonight in the Premier League, and rugby's got a date in August. Is there any sort of solid plans yet for the return?
No, not as of yet. In terms of, so they're talking maybe end of August, September, but it would be a lot. The only problem we've got, obviously, in like the Premier League and apart from loads of other reasons, is obviously it's kept in one place.
Yeah.
So I think the first step will probably be to have some sort of UK only events. So only us who live in the UK or have been based here the whole time will be able to play in those, with no ranking points, but at least some prize money up for grabs for us to obviously take some money while we can, and yeah, probably build up that way before they can start travelling again, because obviously that's the biggest issue we have.
Probably just want to get back in playing now, don't you?
Oh, honestly, you know, the worst part is that all like the countries that locked down before we locked down are all back playing and able to get on court at least and do some training, and it's so hard to see people who have been back playing and like we're not even on court at all yet, like haven't been on once, so it's obviously very frustrating. Yeah. How
have you been training? What have you sort of been given a personal sort of regime to be keeping up with?
Yeah, I train with some of the guys from Sport Wales, and they've been amazing throughout all of this. They've been keeping close contact every couple of weeks, if not over text or whatever if I need anything. And we just have a set program that I'm following day to day, similar to what I would do normally, but obviously just minus the squash and being very inventive with some new sessions. Obviously, the weather's been amazing, which has really helped to get outside a lot, but this past couple of weeks has been great. So keeping it nice and fresh and just finding new ways to train, which in one way has been quite nice.
You mentioned British-only tournaments when you were talking about returning. Obviously, it was sort of in the British Championships 2 years running, where you had great success. How were those moments? It was Manchester and Nottingham, wasn't it, if I remember correctly?
Yeah, one in Manchester, one in Nottingham, yeah.
The first Welsh person ever to win?
Yeah.
It's quite an achievement for the
Not bad, that.
for the CV.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. I mean, we've had some really good players in the past, men and women who haven't been able to do it, and it's no easy feat, obviously, with the standard of squash in England at the minute as well. And in all the history, we've had players that have come so close. So it was really nice to do that and to bring it back to Wales and keep it there for a couple of years was quite nice. And show that we can compete, even we're smaller, we can compete. And I know hopefully we had Joel's in the final this year of the men's, narrowly missed out. So he's really young too, and hopefully we won't be the only two. I think there's a lot of players behind us that will hopefully keep flying that, and hopefully it'll just continue to evolve.
I was going to say, is it a bright future for the new crop coming through for squash?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's always going to be gaps. Sometimes there's gaps between people and different ages and stuff. That always happens. But I think it's good to have there's probably 4 or 5 of us now on the tour competing worldwide that are all doing really well, and I think that always helps the juniors have something to aspire to. And the juniors, there's a lot of them now that want to play, and they want to go professional. Whether they do or not is another matter, because it's not that easy, obviously. But I think it's a bright future for the kids coming through, and hopefully they can progress through the ranks.
What would your advice, someone who's been there and done that and taken the risks of leaving school and reached, not when I say the top, as good as anyone has done in Wales, what would your advice be to those looking up to you as the role model?
I always say it's a really hard. People I think that it's like a really easy job and stuff, and it takes its toll. It's not easy. But at the same time, I think you just have to enjoy it. I've always enjoyed playing, and I always enjoyed travelling and competing. So I would always tell any junior to work hard and just enjoy it, because your careers don't last forever. We're not going to be playing until we're 50 or 60. It just doesn't obviously happen. So make the most of it and really try and just get as much out of your potential that you possibly can. My main motto is always enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, you won't do well, because you don't want to be there. So
my mum always said to me growing up, if you enjoy your job, you never work a day in your life, and I think that's
absolutely.
It's a good motto. Yeah, it's a good motto. I really enjoy that.
It is, because I think people just get too screwed up with winning, losing, all that kind of stuff, and it's so easy to get into. I mean, I've done it myself. You've had really bad times where you're losing, and you're like, oh. But at the end of the day, if you are enjoying it and you are working hard at what you need to work on, then, as you said, you'll never work a day in your life, really. So,
do you have any? We were talking just before you got on. Do you have any sort of superstitions? Lots of athletes or have a pre-game ritual where they listen to a certain song or
put the right shoe on for the left one.
Yeah, exactly. Doing everything with his head. Do you have one?
Oh, I have loads. Honestly, and as I get older, I seem to be having more, and it's like you just can't not do it either. I have the exact one of putting my left shoe on before my right shoe. Absolutely, that's a must. That is, cannot put my squash shoes on without putting the left one on first. I have a few. I always like to warm up on the left-hand side of the court as well, which is not always easy if you get introduced onto the court second. It's not always the easiest thing. So that one's kind of doesn't really matter. But definitely, I think I have something I don't even know that I do. I bet.
Have you ever put your right shoe on first and then gone no and taken it off to put the left one on?
No, I have, and I'm like, wait, no, I've got to take it off, and rush to take it off. And yeah, like certain things, like eating certain things. I'm quite like, if I've started the week and I've won my first match and I've done something, I'll probably do the same thing the whole week.
I love those sort of superstitions. I mean, you play a lot of football now, obviously not to the same standard as Tesni would be in squash. But do you have any quirks? Do you have anything that you do?
I used to have to put like my left shin pad on first, and then I don't know, similar way, but I just don't know why. If I put the right one on, literally have to take everything off again and do all over again. It's just weird.
Was it Kelly Holmes who used to talk about her sort of ritual before a run in the Olympics, and she used to wake up at the exact minute and eat at the same minute, and all these things? It just is crazy, but it's funny how many sports people do it. Do you any of your colleagues, or sort of do you know any of the other squash stars that have a quirk?
You know, a lot of them do, and it kind of depends like where they come from as well. They kind of like, so many people have so many different things. There's, you know, a few squash players that you can tell they won't, you know, they have to let you walk off the court first, or they'll have to hit a certain shot and it like has to be a good one, and then they'll walk off, you know, and you'll see them like mess it up a few times and they're still going, and I'm sat down in my chair thinking, you want to take some rest, like you need to sit down. There's definitely a few different quirks of certain things, and people are very particular with the water and stuff like that. It's kind of like a winning thing as well. I've done a few things where one week, you know, if I'm doing the same thing and I'm winning, I'll keep doing it. Yeah. But if I lose a match, I'm like, oh, well, that didn't work anyway, so what's the point? So it just depends. Week by week, it kind of changes as well. It's weird.
You've travelled the world playing it, and we mentioned that beautiful course in Cairo. Is there any other places where you've been, or any places in the world which your job has taken you to, which you'd love to go back to?
One was Cayman Islands. We went there for World Champs. I think it was literally, I just started playing professionally. I think I didn't played about a year or so. And we went there, and it was the most unreal place I've ever been to. And they had like, the glass court was like set up on this like end of the marina, and it was boiling hot, and it was like somewhere you should definitely not go to play squash, because you should go there on holiday. So a lot of the girls were kind of struggling, especially after they lost. It was like, we just wanted to like go to the beach, and so probably there would definitely like to go back and visit as a holiday. But there's plenty of places that, like, I could tell you that are my favourite spots. In terms of New York, we play in Grand Central Terminal.
Yeah.
That's up there with probably one of the best venues. Obviously, that's where I hit my ankle this year. So maybe won't go back next year. But no, I'm just kidding. That's probably my favourite one, I'd say.
You played in one of my favourite places in the world as well, in Monte Carlo.
Monte Carlo, yes, great place.
It's one of my favourite places in the world, that is. I absolutely love Monaco. Have you ever seen when it's sort of Grand Prix season over there?
No, and I have a really good friend there as well, who I went last summer and did a bit of training there off season. Absolutely loved it. Saw a completely different side to it. We normally go in November, and it's okay. Like, it's not freezing, but it's also not obviously very warm.
Yeah.
And I did some off-season training there last year, and it was unbelievable. The change in it was just ridiculous. In August was absolutely beautiful, and she was saying the same. You have to come in May in Grand Prix season and come and go to like the parties and do stuff like that. So I'm sure once I finish playing, I will definitely be going there.
I would wholeheartedly recommend it. My family have done it the last 2 years, and it's like an experience like no other place in the world. I've never witnessed anything like it. It's
and to be honest, I'm not really into Formula One, but the whole thing just makes me want to go. Absolutely.
None of my family like it. No, none of my family like it.
Just go for the experience, isn't it?
Genuinely worth it just for the atmosphere. It's
really.
I'm sure it's not like Carnival in Rio, but the sort of everywhere you go, every side street, people are selling flutes of champagne and handing. It's just I saw that you'd been there, and I just wanted to mention it.
I'll definitely have to go. I just can't believe that the roads are obviously just like the main roads normally, like because obviously it's such a small place as well.
Where's the squash? Where are the squash courts in there? Because the tennis courts are phenomenal looking, and the views that they have from there. Are the squash courts anywhere close?
The squash court is actually in the building of the football stadium.
Oh right, in the I can't remember the name of the
I
stadium.
can't remember the name.
It's got the arches at the end.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
St. Louis Stadium.
That's it. Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. Good memory.
Like
It's
my
actually like you go in the building and then I guess you kind of go up to the football pitch and downstairs is all the squash courts. So.
Oh wow.
Never knew that.
It's that's a strange looking stadium as well with those arches. It's where Monaco play, isn't it? But
yeah, I went to watch a match last year there, and it was amazing. But it was completely different. I mean, I follow Liverpool, like massive Liverpool fan, and I've never been to a better stadium than Anfield. And I was sat there thinking, this is really weird. It was such a different atmosphere than an English stadium, that's for sure.
last question, and then we've got a few quiz questions for you. If people sort of didn't know about squash, obviously we've played it a few times, but not professionally at all. We understand the rules. If you were trying to encourage someone to go watch it or take it up, how would you sort of sell them the sport? Because it's so fast paced, isn't it?
Yeah, that's tough. I think I would say, as you said, it's exciting and it's fast. Especially if you watch good players play. I think the only problem to our sport is that potentially the top players, like world number ones, whatever, they make it look so easy that you actually can be sat off and think, oh, that looks too easy, why would I play that? Until you try it. So I think I would always encourage people to try it first, because then you'll realise how hard it actually is. But if I was trying to sell it, I would say it's a fast, exciting game that it's the only one of sports that you share the same space. Like all the other racket sports, obviously you don't. So I think just what sells it is the athleticism that you have to have, as well as it has such. People call it the physical chess, which is quite a funny term for it, but it kind of works because it's a very tactical and mental game, as well as obviously being so physical.
I've never heard that comparison before. I love that, the physical
Yeah, a few
chess.
people have said it is, and I'm like, is it? I mean, I think chess is very hard and way more tactical than squash, but it kind of has a sort of, the higher levels you go is very tactical and very mental as well.
You couldn't be more right about how physically exhausting it is. I've played a few games of tennis and gone, that was tiring. After a few games of squash, I absolutely lying down on the floor, exhausted, because it is constant, and you're turning. With tennis, it's very much on the side to side. Sometimes there's the net shots, but you're all over the place, left, right, twisting, turning. So I think
it's very physically demanding. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. With all of our guests we've had on, we've sort of prepared a few quiz questions. I think during this lockdown, everyone's sort of been quizzing each other. So we've prepped 5 questions for each guest, and they've been varying degrees of success among them. We got tested on korfball one week, which was tough. Korfball, yes.
Well, please don't tell me you're testing me on that, please.
No. You're okay. We're testing the guests on themselves and on their sport. So
okay, right.
It's not like a home and away quiz. You get home questions. You're all okay.
Good.
I've sort of got. I mean, again, my squash knowledge isn't the best, so I've tried to put it in sort of a range of difficulty, but it is about your career, so it should be in your head. The first question I've got then, so question number 1, who did you beat to win your first ever Welsh national title?
Oh, it has to be Dion Safri, I think.
It is Dion Safri, there we are. One out of 1, good start.
Let's just stop now.
100%. Question number 2, I think you'll get this one as well. Who currently, in the current rankings, who's the highest ranked European woman?
Camille Cern.
Is correct, yes, who's fourth in the world at the moment. Number 3, it gets a bit tougher, this. I would think this is a bit tougher. Your Commonwealth bronze we mentioned, one of your career highlights. In the first game in that series of games to get to the final, you beat a player by the name of Taylor Fernandez. You might remember it in straight sets. What country was Taylor representing at the Commonwealth Games?
I think can actually know this. I think she's from Guyana.
She is from Guyana. Very nice. Yes. 3 out of 3. Question number 4. Your first semi-final in a platinum event was the 2018 US Open. Can you name the 3 players you beat to reach the semi-final?
I think Joelle King.
Yeah, is 1.
Sarah Jane Perry is 2, and I don't know the third one.
But if my memory of the screen serves me right, I think it was the player was ranked 22 and from Egypt. But
it was in my first rounds. I think I played.
It was.
I'm going to say Mariam Metwali.
Is the correct answer.
She pulled it out.
Yeah, I said her, but I literally played her about 6 times in one season. I was thinking it only be her.
It's absolutely correct. I noticed it might have been. I mean, not that you looked for revenge, but in that when you got the bronze at the Commonwealth in 2018, the final was between Perry and King, both of which you went on to beat 6 months later in that US Open. Was it sort of nice, or was that sort of a feeling of if only I'd got to that final, I could have had them?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, Joelle, they're both really good friends of mine. Yeah. So again, it becomes that's like another level of it being tough to like beat them all the time. And I think at that time I really hadn't beaten either of them before. So to be honest, I probably didn't think like, obviously, yeah, I wish I'd done it at the Commonwealth Games. And to be fair, that match after I played SJ in the semi-finals of the Commonwealth Games, probably the lowest I've been afterwards, because I got absolutely tore apart in terms of I just got completely outplayed that day, and that was really hard to come over for the next match. So it was definitely obviously nice to get a win over them. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? You always think, oh, what if and stuff. So obviously it would have been great at the Commonwealth Games, but it's what it is. So.
I mean, obviously, a bronze medal is an incredible achievement in any sport, at Commonwealths or Olympics. But you also beat the rank 1 and rank 3 seeds, on the way to doing that, didn't you?
Yeah, that probably was that match against Laura in the quarterfinals was probably the best match I think I've played ever in terms of atmosphere, and the energy that was put into that was incredible. And obviously I wasn't supposed to win that match, so I was very up for that match. Yeah. And that also kind of makes it really hard to back up after you've had a match like that, in terms of I was absolutely drained after it because I wasn't supposed to win, and then you've got all this thing going through your mind of I'm in the semi-finals now, I could win a medal, and it's there's so many things going through your mind after that happens. But it was an absolute amazing, for me, it was just not really thought of that I would even get a medal. So I kind of came out of it really happy with the bronze medal, because there was nothing to be expected of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, an incredible achievement for anyone. That's fantastic. Final question then. 4 out of 4 so far.
Come on, I can get the last one.
For the full house, we've only had one guest so far, and that was our very first one. We had Andy Campbell on, who used to play for Cardiff City. He got all 5, although he did answer 2 of those in just the chat, didn't he? So I was I can't even ask these questions anymore.
Can't even ask them, yeah.
Yeah, but the final one I've got, your first British Championship title back in 2018. You won the final against Alison Waters. Can you remember each score in each set in order?
That's an hard one, Phil. Oh no.
The last one's got to be tough. It's got.
I think I can remember the third one, because I think it was really close. I'm going to go with 11-9 in the third one.
No. And it was 11-9 in the second one.
Okay, the second one. The third game, I think I'd go with 11-6 maybe.
It was 11-7. It went 11-5, 11-9, 11-7.
That's a hard question, that one.
It is. I was going to give you, I was torn between asking you about the 2018 final, because you won both in straight sets, didn't you? In 3 straight games. Although those, I was looking, the games against, was it King and Perry at the US Open were both 5-set, sort of absolute exhausting games.
That was a hard week, that one.
Yeah, I bet it was, yeah. How quick's the turnaround in days between games like that?
It varies. That time you only it depends if you're like top or bottom of the draw, but we mostly play every day. So it would mostly be you play just the next evening. But some of the bigger tournaments like the US Open, that one, we sometimes get a day off in between. So it would only be 1 day max off.
I bet that's exhausting.
Yeah, it is, but weirdly, this is going to sound really weird, I hate having the day off in between.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hate it. I would much prefer just to keep playing, because having a day off, your body just relaxes. It's a weird thing, but I always get like second day soreness. So for me, like if I have a really hard match, I'd much rather just play the next day and just keep going, because otherwise your body relaxes too much, and then you're like even more tired on that second day then.
Tesni, thank you very, very much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Enjoyed it.
No, massively appreciate it. Very good squash knowledge as well on your career. 4 out of 5 is one of the best we've had. So thank you very, very much. And we will keep an eye out and hopefully speak to you again in the future after another success in another tournament.
Hopefully. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Well, a big thanks, as we say, to Tesni. Now, squash, we've said in the past that we're going to give these sports a try, baseball and korfball. Have you played squash before?
I wouldn't say I've played it a lot. I've probably played once or twice, but I'd be very keen to get back into it.
We'll have to have a head-to-head. Take you on.
Definitely.
I think
I have the reach, but I'll have the stamina.
You'll have the stamina, but I'm also was, maybe not so much anymore, quite a good badminton player. And I'm hoping, although you play tennis, so it'd be interesting to see how the two racket sports go head to head in a completely different environment. But you're right, you'd definitely outlast me. Maybe just one game or one set, and we'll see. First to 11. I think the longer the game goes on, it certainly lasts in your favour. Thank you very much to Tesni for coming on. Going forward, then we've got guests lined up, haven't we? We've got a few.
We have. We're racking them up now with all these guests. Fans to come on.
We've decided that we're going to have 10 episodes in the series. I think we've got 3 more guests lined up, and then we'll sort of round it off ourselves at the end. But we hit the world of MMA next, which is very exciting. Another one where we're going to have to seriously brush up, I think.
Yeah, definitely. If it was boxing, it'd be alright, but MMA is a bit hazy to me.
Yeah, I like it, and Fight Island's coming up on the UFC, which is very exciting. But we hit MMA next, and then although we have done football once this season, as football is back, as it is the sport which is returning, I think it would have been remiss of us to not mention that. So we have another Cardiff City great, really.
Yeah, a legend.
Another legend lined up. As Cardiff's first game is against Leeds, fond memories go back to that game in 2002, which will live long in the memory of Cardiff City fans. I don't think you were there, were you?
No, I wasn't there. No.
I was there as a young boy, and one of our guests, which we have in 2 weeks' time, I'm delighted to say started in that team. So we will have fond memories looking back at that, and if Cardiff have got a chance of a playoff push in 2 weeks' time, they might well be out of it, but you never know what will happen. Anyway. We'll talk football when we talk football. We'll save that. We'll save that for 2 weeks' time. So get in touch. Let us know your thoughts. As I say, MMA next week. So if you've got any MMA questions, queries you want to know about, I'm sure I've got a few that I can rattle off already. But get them in. And thank you very much for listening as always. Thank you for listening to the latest episode of Capital Conflab. If you have a story you want featured, then get in touch. But for now, until next time, you've been listening to Capital Conflab.